It's the schedule preview show. 80 games scheduled for the Pacers. How good are they going to do? Where are the key stretches of their schedule? What could it mean for the trade deadline? For once, I am way higher in wins than Adam. So much to get to with Adam Friedman on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today it is back for its yearly installment, the schedule preview show for the Pacers. More than just a breakdown with the generics of how far they travel in the back-to-backs and all that. Adam Friedman and I run through game by game, looking at the hardest stretches, so you know when they're coming. Spoiler alert, one happens right away. When they come and why they're so important for the Pacers. And we land on a final record. Last year, for just the second time in our predictions, I got more games right than Adam. This is our 8th time doing this for the Pacers schedule. And almost every year, Adam's a little higher on the team than me. Last year, he predicted 50 wins. I said 49. He was right this year. For I think the first time we've been doing this, I was higher by quite a bit than him. So much to get to. Let's break down the Pacers schedule and get to official record predictions right now. Let's go. 80 games scheduled. They'll play 2 in-season tournament games, whatever. The Pacers schedule is out, and one of my favorite shows every year. Breaking it down, it helps me just as much as it helps you find the soft spots, the hard parts, the really weird travel quirks. Like, why do they have a road trip that's New Orleans and Boston? That's a thing that we'll have to talk about today. We'll break it down stretch by stretch and predict the Pacers record last year. Me within 1 win, him exactly right. It's Adam Friedman back for our, we determined, 8th schedule breakdown show. Adam, hello. I'm so sorry that your name has changed from not over the finals to worried since we started talking. How are you?
I am doing okay. I will say it's now been 2 months. Has it been 2 months since the NBA Finals,
almost,
give or take?
Almost. 4 days away.
I'm probably still not over it, and I probably will not be over it for 3 years. But anyways, I'm trying to move on.
So I got 2 replies this week on social media that said, finally back to listening to the podcast. I couldn't do it after the finals. And I was like, man, I did not realize how many people that was.
I barely followed free agency. Like, I mainly did because I was watching my head with Miles, and they had to figure out the downhill effects of that. But if Turner had just signed a deal the first day, I just would have tuned. I mean, it was tough. It was hard. I mean, watching Haliburton on the floor, that moment, that like image of him crying on the floor and being in that frustration and looking back at his torn Achilles is like seared in my memory. And that is, it might be right now the worst sports moment of my life. That's not a big deal in terms of life, but Peyton Manning's interception used to be number 1 in the Super Bowl, and now it's this, and this might even be worse because it felt like they were going to win it if that didn't happen, and I just feel bad for him, and it's just it's a sad. I'm worried about the team this year.
I've never thought about my worst sporting fan moments of my life. Kelly Olynyk Game 7. Blair Walsh missing a 19, whatever it was. Brett Favre's interception against the Saints. Gosh, I'm brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Vanderjagt missed a field goal that would have had the game against the Steelers in 2005, but I was a little too young for that.
That was after the Bettis fumble. I'll never forget that one.
I mean, the Reggie block was pretty bad. I was still a little too young, probably.
Yeah.
But the Reggie block was probably the worst moment in Pacers history up until this point, right? Because maybe it's not winning that game 4 against the Lakers 2000, but the Haliburton, it's not like it's like a worst moment of it's also because of the highs of that, right? Haliburton, I mean, it was the most incredible playoff run that once I feel better about it, we'll want to talk about forever. Because he did some of the most incredible things I've ever seen on a basketball court to win games that should not, him and honestly Naismith too, to win games that you shouldn't expect to win. And to go out like that was just a little bit of it was sad. It was sad, and I'm worried about the team this year now because he is, their best player and their lifter up of everyone.
Well, it's time for a new team to make magic. You predicted on the nose 50-32 last year. I said 49-33 that last game in Cleveland.
Yes, it was a Cavs game there that I got barely.
But the nature of which games we actually picked correct and wrong. I got 51 right, and you got 41 right. So, alas, we've determined that I'm either 1-7 or 2-6 in our time doing this. So hopefully I can, for the first time ever, repeat victories. This is my first win since the COVID year.
I have to imagine my big problem was I don't think I probably had Cleveland being as good as they were. And I probably missed every one of those games in some ways. Detroit was better than I thought they were going to be. But there were a few teams that were just like a lot, like Detroit especially. That team was terrible 2 years ago to the point like I thought, no way they win 40 games, and they probably won like 45 last year. So that's how I usually do it based on what I think a team is. So that's
speaking of the importance of quality of opponents, it would appear that one of the key stretches for the Pacers season, Adam, is their first 10 games, which are quite hard out of the gate. And they're going to have a lot of challenging stretches this year. This is a theme of last year too, where like everyone in the NBA is almost everybody, not everybody is trying, right? So there's not as many like cupcake stretches as there used to be in the way that the league's kind of evolved and made it easier for teams to get towards competing. But the first 10 games, they host OKC in the finals rematch, then a 3-game road trip against playoff teams. Well, maybe Dallas, we'll see, in the West. Atlanta, Golden State, Milwaukee, Brooklyn homestand. They can win some of those, I guess. Then at Denver, at Golden State on a back-to-back to end it. That is among the hardest first 10 games I can recall them having in my time covering the team at all. It's not like so brutal, but it is really, really tough to start the year.
And they've had bad starts too now I guess they had a good start 2 years ago. Last year was bad, right? 10-15 to start.
Yeah, last year if they didn't win that Boston game in overtime, they'd have been 1-4 to open the season with some horrible losses. Yeah,
I mean, with this team, the thing is they don't usually throw in the towel. There's maybe that like 1.5 year stretch where they did present seasons of that, and they usually are able to rack up some March wins when it gets the dog days of basketball, because that's when you start to see teams that are sort of just like trying to get the top 5 pick. But this year will be interesting because I don't know if there's that many teams I think they're better than on paper, where I think last year, I don't know. They were the second best team in the league last year at the end of it, but like record wise, they were in the top 8 and they could compete with any of the teams. I'm not sure I think that this year, and it's been a few years, right? Probably going into the 2023 season, I thought that. And that was about the last time. Like this year, I thought they were going to be decent. That's hence why I thought they win 50 games, right?
Well, 3 back-to-backs in these first 10 games as well. Fun.
The NBA. Why is the NBA schedule 82 games? I mean, I can it just be
I could talk about this all day, but like every problem with the NBA goes back to the fact that they play too many games. Every single one.
They should play every team twice, and then every team in their division 3 times, and maybe a few other in the conference 3 times, and that should be it. 60-something games to get you there.
56. Perfect. Call it a day. Yep. All right, let's go. First 5, OKC at home, at Memphis, at Minnesota on a back-to-back, at Dallas versus Atlanta. I will give them a win in Memphis and a win against the Hawks and losses in the rest. Though I will say this, I say this every year. In the opening game, you literally never know, right? They won in Detroit last year in a fun one. They won some games at home against tough opponents. It's the home opener. Like everybody's going to be juiced up at this finals rematch. The Thunder are so good that I'm going with what I'm going with there, but it would not surprise me at all if they won that game.
Oh, no, I'm already. I'm going to go win against the Thunder. I think there's an emotional.
Look at you.
But lost Grizzlies, lost Timberwolves, lost in Dallas, win against the Hawks.
What'd you say for Hawks?
Win against the Hawks. They're at home.
All right. So Atlanta, who's going to be quite good this year. We are both getting the Pacers back on track.
Are they going to be quite good this year?
I am quite interested in the Hawks.
Or are they just going to be better because like every team got worse except for one? Like is Atlanta just basically because they stay the same and the crop came down to them?
I think getting Porzingis and Alexander Walker will make them better than last year.
I'm not convinced Porzingis can play a full season, but maybe he will be healthy the first 5 games, so maybe that should be a factor.
Here's my hot Atlanta take. I don't think Porzingis is going to start. Okay, next 5. Back-to-back after that Atlanta game versus Golden State. Then, Miles Turner's coming to Indy. Brooklyn. All right, a free square. At Denver, and then a back-to-back in Golden State. So the Pacers see Steph both times this season in their first 10 games. I'll give them a win against Milwaukee, Brooklyn. I think that might be it for that stretch just because of the back-to-back there for me.
I think just a win against Brooklyn.
Oof.
So
you think that the juice of the Milwaukee game will not be enough for them?
I don't think so. I think the Bucks are better than them this year, unfortunately. Do you think Steph will finally play a game in Indiana? He's played like one time in the last 5 years. I've tried to go to like 3
I need to check the Warriors schedule if they're on a back-to-back.
I've tried to see Steph 3 times play the Pacers, and every time he's been on a back-to-back, I haven't played. Now, he's played other times, but that has gotten me almost every
I think the last time he played in Indy was the game that he tied the 3-point record.
Where he scored like 55 points and Roy Hibbert fought a guy.
He was one away, and then he said
is that when Roy Hibbert fought a guy, or is that the different year when he fought different year?
No. Right. Tied the total, like 2,700, whatever.
I thought Steph has a game where he scored like 50 something against the Pacers.
We both have different memories of that.
The Pacers. I'm going further back, I think.
So after their first 10, I'm not saying it's like easy, but it's significantly more manageable with a Utah, Phoenix, Toronto, Detroit, Charlotte, Detroit after a Cleveland game, Toronto, Washington, Chicago. Like they could by December have a good record, but that's part of why their first 10 are so important is how good they are by the end of November really is dedicated to their start. Like if they start 2-8, even if they do like moderately well in that stretch I just said until December comes, they'll still have a below water record, which last year showed that might not matter as much as I previously thought before, but I think that might be more the outlier. We'll see. So winning all these games they need to win. Utah's going to be god awful this year, for example, will be important. I will give them a win in their next, let's say 5 here, going through Charlotte against Utah, Phoenix, Toronto, and Charlotte, knowing full well that the kryptonite for the Pacers is the Charlotte Hornets.
I think I'm going to zag a little bit here on you. I think they lose to the Jazz, lose to the Pistons on the 17th.
I also
and then lose to the Cavs. And I think they lose to the Pistons twice. They lose both times.
Wow. I also will go loss in Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be the best team in the East to me.
I think the Pistons are going to be better than the Hawks. Just going to say that right now.
Wow. I think they're going to be good and make the playoffs.
On the rise last year. They were that team that should take another leap this year. Cunningham, I like the way he played.
He's a good player. I like their offseason quite a bit. I'll zig on you there and go with a win against Detroit. And then they're over 500 for a second for me. So that's fun. Everybody, quick break so we can talk about FanDuel. August 26th coming up soon. That is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For those 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, you're eyeing a long shot division winner, or you are just ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, that day is your moment. Take a flyer in the MVP race. Is it going to be a Colts player this year? Crown your champion in August. Could it be Patrick Mahomes again? Or parlay or division winners, your dark horses, whoever. Visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your futures bets now because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Next stretch, easy peasy. Toronto, Washington, Chicago to close the month. What are you thinking there?
I think they win the 2 NBA Cup games, lose the Bulls game.
Ooh, I forgot that this is the Cup.
I just don't think they're good enough to probably win 3 games in a row.
Send them to Vegas. Would the NBA go crazy to have the Pacers in the Cup Finals again? All right, through the end.
3 wins be enough for that? I don't know. You probably be in like 30 tiebreakers at that point if you win 3 times.
That's true.
You've won all 4.
I'm making sure I didn't miss any back-to-backs in here. Washington, Chicago, both at home. Is a back-to-back that might make me flip my Bulls there. I'll do it. Okay, so through the end of November, I have them at 10-10, and Adam, the pessimist, whose name is worried on here, has them 8-12.
Hopefully, mine's motivating that I think they won't win that many games. That's it's like a lot. But I'm a Pacer. I'm a big Pacer fan. So,
they're the king of the motivation.
I would love if they prove me wrong.
Last year, their December schedule was brutal, and it also just happens to be when they turn things around, ironically. This year, mediocre. Again, I think their really heavy start of challenging opponents makes a lot of the rest of their schedule seem just a little easier and more broken up. Like you could count some of this homestand in early December as pretty tough, but there's a Chicago game in there, and then right after they play New Orleans, and then the gap year game in Boston, and they play Miami, and Orlando will be fun. Like that's some tough games, but like way more manageable than their start of the season. So again, until the schedule gets really weird in January, I think they can survive. Give me your December 1st versus Cleveland through the NBA Cup game versus Sacramento, the final game pre-NBA Cup versus Sacramento.
I think. I think they win the Kings game. That's
it?
Probably. Yeah, it's probably it, I think.
You are high on the Bulls, apparently.
Didn't they beat the Pacers twice last year?
Not last year. The year before, they went 3-1 against the Pacers.
Josh did not have a game where he beat the Pacers, or did they come back in that game? Now I'm thinking about what Josh.
They did win that game.
Okay.
I will go loss against Cleveland and Denver, and a win against Chicago and Sacramento to get them to the Cup at 12-12. Everybody's excited. We always have to do this thing. We only know 80 games so last year they were close enough to 500. They both just said, yeah, split the Cup games. The way those work is it's based on how you play in the Cup. So the Pacers did awful last year, so they got 2 easy games. They played Philly and New Orleans as a result. It was kind of great. They beat both those teams, and it really launched their season after they got all that practice time. So keep in mind that just expect the opponent of similar quality, and that's why predicting 1-1 is probably the most likely anyway.
I think honestly getting healthy launched their season more than anything else, but yeah.
That is also true.
It seemed like there seemed to be a coincidence with Naismith and Nembhard were back. They all of a sudden were winning a lot of games.
The 1 week stretch where they got, or 10 days where they got Ben Shepherd back, Andrew Nembhard back, and traded for Thomas Bryant and had 4 days of practice. It saved everything. Naismith didn't come back till January, right? They were still there.
No, you're right. But I guess they were rolling a little bit before January, but once he got back, the team really
that saved their whole season.
Yeah,
so we'll go 1-1 there as usual. I'm honestly probably going to do that every single year. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Out of the break. New York, very fun. The first, I believe, first Eastern Conference Finals rivals matchup before New Orleans, DeJounte Murray ACL tear, Boston, Jason Tatum ACL tear, Milwaukee.
No, Achilles.
Achilles, sorry. Did I say ACL twice? Oops. The 3 Achilles games, and they play Boston 4 in a row of Achilles impacted teams. I think the Knicks will beat them. I think they will beat New Orleans, beat Boston, beat Milwaukee again, and then lose to Boston the second time. Or sorry, flip those. Lose to Boston the first time, win the second time.
I think
no back-to-backs in there.
I think they beat the Knicks. I don't know why I feel that way, but I think they beat the Pelicans, lose the first Boston one, lose the Bucks, win the second Boston one.
Say that again.
Knicks win, Pelicans win, lose the first Boston.
Yep.
Lose the Bucks. Win the second Boston.
That Boston game, that Milwaukee game is a travel back-to-back coming back home right before Christmas. Emotions will be high. Interesting. I might flip that one because of the back-to-back factor. The other reason that I'm flipping some back-to-backs, I should say this, is especially for the first couple months of the season, I would imagine they'll be careful on back-to-backs with Jackson and Wiseman and have to kind of dance around their center rotation coming off of Achilles.
Jay Huff can get some starting moments. Maybe it'll be top.
Jay Huff can be playing big minutes. Maybe that'll help the Pacers. They'll play top of the 5 a little more in those games, but that does make things more challenging for them, just shaking up the rotation more. At that time, they close out the year. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
There'll be a lot of experimenting, I feel like, with their center rotation. Unless somebody just immediately jumps out, it's probably going to be kind of a little bit of testing out in the first couple months.
Definitely agree. They come out of that Boston game, back-to-back travel to Miami, then at Houston, who's going to be awesome, and versus Orlando, who's going to be awesome. I think they close out the year with 3 straight defeats.
I think they beat Miami.
Ooh, okay. They do always play well in Miami, but that is partially because Tyrese Haliburton is so good in Miami. That's
why they win a lot of games, I think. It's because Tyrese Haliburton is so good.
That stretch is kind of important. We're about to get to another one, so I'm not going to say anything is critical yet, but I have them ending the year on a 5-game losing streak because of that Milwaukee back-to-back. That's some tough foes, and they exit the year of 2025. Adam says 13-19. I say 14-18. That's not good for a team. Yeah, that's not great. It's not great. Schedule's about to get tougher too, but it gets easier later. This is a tough exercise, isn't it? This is a weird year for it.
It's because we don't know what to expect. I mean, is there a world where Mathurin steps right into the shooting guard spot and he has sort of that leap year that he hasn't really had because he's kind of been sort of playing off the bench and he was right. I think we thought that Mathurin was kind of could become a more prominent number 2 player on the team or like a third option in a way that he really kind of hasn't been. I mean, he's at times been. And so does not having Haliburton, not having to play at the same pace work for him? Can Nembhard play point guard enough and not turn over the ball a lot of that when he's really ball dominant without Haliburton? Is Siakam going to be a solid Siakam? I mean, it's sort of it's the theory that we've talked about a lot is how much better does Haliburton make people, and how much do they drop by not being around it? Like we'll see that with Turner in general to see how much better or worse Turner is that having the guy who can find him in the corner every single time with the perfect pass. And so like the question, but like there is a chance Mathurin could make somewhat of a leap and kind of like really become
he should be expected to be better and more.
Yeah, but like is he a 25 point a game guy? Like that's what he is? Like 25 points and 6 assists, and that's not turn into wins, but that could carry the day a little bit.
I've heard that expectation set by a few people. He played 30 minutes a game last year. Like he's not going to score 9 more points a game this year.
No, I mean
22 is reasonable to me as an estimate. Like,
yeah, but I think I'm doing the high end, right? Like if he makes into like the player that then can probably get a really big contract next, he's in a contract year, right? That's the kind of season he would have is like 25.
Now, if he averages 25 a game and he becomes a max player, that changes a lot about the outlook, certainly.
Well, and that I think is the Pacers.
Like in the 5 percentile, like it's possible.
I would guess the Pacers are looking at 2 scenarios, right? One where maybe somebody steps up, they don't expect Mathurin, Nembhard, Naismith, someone becomes kind of a next level player, or none of that happens. They have a middling year, maybe to bad, maybe they get a good draft pick and they can just chalk it up and move on, right? Like they're kind of in a position this year where like, unless there's some terrible acrimony inside the team, which I don't really think this team's going to have that because they just are very tight and the way they played in the playoffs just probably bonded them in a way. It's just kind of, you can look at it as kind of a throwaway year if they don't win a lot of games and no one's going to be like distraught by that kind of thing.
Good draft pick could come to replace someone's minutes in the rotation. Ruh-roh, better play good, everybody. Okay, key stretch incoming to me. Every game they play after 2026 starts is not like, well, they play Cleveland, who's going to be good. It's not like terribly challenging. We're going to do the first 3 games of 2025 or 2026 first. I think they'll beat San Antonio and lose the next 2 to Orlando and Cleveland. And then I would do those 3, and then I want to talk about the next stretch.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's actually how I would look at it.
So 2 things I want to talk about. One is that from that game we just said against Cleveland to the All-Star break, literally like a month of games. Here are their opponents in order. Charlotte, Miami, Boston, Toronto, New Orleans, Detroit, Philly, Boston, OKC, Atlanta, Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, Utah, Milwaukee, Toronto, New York, Brooklyn. New York's going to be pretty good on paper. Oklahoma City is going to be great on paper. Houston's going to be good on paper. That's it. And that's too zoomed out. I specifically am looking at this Charlotte through Boston stretch that we're about to run through before they have OKC and Houston and New York in the next like 7 games after that. If they want to have this season feature postseason ball, that stretch I just talked about covers the trade deadline, covers the weirdest road home part of their schedule. This is when they have to start playing better if they want this season to end with playoff basketball in Indy again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think if this team was really good, this would be a stretch where they lose like 1 game, basically, right?
Yep.
So kind of where like this is where like the really best teams. I mean, for them, they can get away with only losing 3 times. That probably puts them in position to be a play-in team, I would guess. Like, I mean, there's probably like 5 lock teams in the East, and the 6 are kind of for grabs, and then 7 through 10 is anyone's guess at this point, in my opinion. Right, and so that's where it shakes out right now. So I don't know. This is that stretch where like there's like a couple teams in this who are probably in that want to be 7 to 10, want to be the 6, right? Pistons, Raptors want to be that. Celtics maybe not.
Yes.
Heat maybe not. 76ers definitely want to be, but who knows who's playing for them? So like there are enough.
Yeah, that's a total guess.
Yeah, there's enough teams in this that are like back end of the East to play in. They're not playing any of the top right. Outside, they stop playing Cleveland. Yeah, they don't play any of the elite level teams, but they play a lot of teams that like goal is to be the 8 seed. Let's say.
Yep. So here's the other thing that's weird about this stretch. They play Charlotte on the road to start the stretch we're about to get to. Then it's 4 in a row at home, 5 in a row on the road, with OKC being the only non-Eastern Conference team. Detroit, Philly, Boston, OKC, Atlanta is a goofy road trip. Then home again for 4 in a row. Then 6 in a row on the road, but it's split up by the All-Star break. It's Milwaukee, Toronto, New York, break, and then Milwaukee, Toronto, New York, Brooklyn, break, Washington. New York, Brooklyn's no travel, DC's no travel, but that is just weird. That is one of the weirdest month of schedules I've ever seen.
It almost feels like it's going on in Conseco, or not Conseco, Banker's Life, right?
It's like a baseball schedule.
Right? It's like, do they have like a concert series scheduled for a weekend?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't.
Yeah, is that their Disney on Ice trip in there somewhere? They have the goofy college basketball's here stuff in March again.
Well, it would make sense if they were had a hockey team in Indiana and they were playing hockey games the other nights. But it's like I don't know. We don't. The stadium's only played by two basketball teams. They don't have the same overlap.
Coming back, I will say they beat Charlotte. Beat Charlotte. Beat Miami. Lose to Boston. Beat Toronto and New Orleans, lose to Philly or Detroit on the back-to-back after that New Orleans game. Give me those 6.
Beat Hornets, lose Heat, lose Celtics, win Raptors, win Pelicans, lose Pistons.
Yes. The Pistons are now good. They're not an automatic W like they were the first 6 times we did this.
No, I mean, they were the most shocking team last year, in my opinion. Just
finish out this road trip: Philly, Boston, OKC, Atlanta. I will say they beat Philly and lose the other 3.
I think they lose all 3.
There's 4 games there, so
all 4. I think they lose all 4.
Oof! Hater alert! Hater alert! Home for Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, Utah. I will give them all but the Houston games in that stretch. I believe the last 2 Houston, Utah is a back-to-back, so even easier. Lose Houston, beat Utah.
I think they win the last 2 in January, which is. Beat Bulls, beat Hawks, lose Houston, win Jazz, and we're doing up to the Bucks game.
Yes, we are currently at the Bucks game, but pause for a moment, if you'll let me.
Yeah.
We've made it, Adam. We are at the trade deadline with our current results. What do you think the Pacers are on yours at the trade deadline?
How many games have been played?
49.
I probably have 20.
Sorry, 51 if you count the 1-1 of the in-season tournament.
So I probably have them 20 and 30.
21 and 30.
Yeah, that seems about right.
That sounds like a team that would not be pushing that hard, right?
I told you before this, I'm not sure the team can break 35 wins this year. I would be surprised, but they've surprised me before. They'll surprise me again, so who knows?
I have them 24 and 27 right now. Oh, look, 500, a team that's in a tough spot of decisions at the deadline. Milwaukee, Toronto, New York, Brooklyn trip. They win the 2 easy ones. They lose the 2 hard ones.
Do you think they're not going to be sold at the deadline, right? It's more like, do they retool? Do they make a retool move, right? A move for the following year, right? There's somebody that
they would only sell someone who clearly would not make them better when Haliburton is playing games.
All right, I'm going to throw something at you. You're going to hate me because you hate speculative trades. What if Mathurin's really, really good and they get something really, really good for him that fits Haliburton better? Do you just make that move right away?
Man, it would have to be an interesting blend of really good, but not really good at the stuff that the Pacers do, if that makes sense.
I can't. I'm trying to think of a center.
If he's really good, they should just keep him.
Is there a threat 5 center that you could trade Mathurin straight up for it? Probably contract wise, no. I don't. It's hard. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. to me is a great fit for the Pacers team. They could barely get him, but he's on an extension and he's making $40 million a year, so it's not going to happen, right? But that's the kind of player they.
King Jaren, what a beast! Yeah, it's tough.
It's the kind of player they should be aiming for, right? He fits their timeline, their age is all match up better, kind of thing, but.
Because who would they sell to, right?
Well, the salaries don't match. There's just no way to make that work, right?
If they're 21 and 30, again, their whole rotation is young dudes except for McConnell and Siakam. So
no, and they're not true.
And Siakam's a star. Siakam's
going to be their best player next year, probably.
Right. So unless you think they should trade TJ McConnell this season, which I suppose you could make a basketball case for it, there's no one to sell, right? Unless
you're making a move of some of the centers together to maybe try to get them in. If Mathurin is flaming out, then you can maybe move him. He's expiring.
But also
you can match the restricted deal, so it's not like he has that much.
Unless they're much better than we're saying, they're not going to buy. Certainly.
No, they're making it. Well, they might buy for a guy who they think can help them when he comes back, right?
They would do the Pritchard special and get some dude on a rookie scale deal who isn't playing as much on his current team, and he comes to the Pacers and he's winning.
Well, they might do that anyways. To be honest, they'll probably do that 3 times, and that's what they do. I feel like that's how you build the team when the Pacers built that has an 11-man rotation times, because you need to get those guys basically.
Get to the All-Star break, and then I will say they win both games in DC coming out.
Okay, I think they lose Bucks, win Raptors, lose Knicks, win Nets. And we're at the All-Star break, right?
Yeah, then do the 2 Wizards games as well.
I think they back-to-back in Washington.
Back-to-back in DC.
I think they split this because that's a weird way to win. It's hard to win.
You know what? I should do a split because I've said for forever and ever and ever that teams split these goofy back.
It really depends. Are the Wizards going to be just the worst team in the league? And they might be. So that could be the difference.
Yeah, it's possible. Also, they had the plot armor in that one win against the Wizards last year. Then the other one, they scored 162 freaking points. So I'm just going to go with
that game where they literally ran the Wizards like off the court.
They scored so much that they got a shot clock violation with 2 minutes to go in the game on purpose. Crazy. Okay.
This is a fun
big stretch. Big stretches have arrived, but also now they're in March, which is the usual Pacers March of home in the middle of the week, away when college is in town. For the weekends, they open with Dallas, Philly, Charlotte, Memphis. Home games, I would say they lose to Dallas and Memphis and win the other two of those.
You mean 76ers, right? 224.
What did I say?
You said Memphis.
Oh, yes.
Right. I remember. I'm actually looking at the front schedule.
You're right.
I think they'll beat Dallas, beat Philly, lose the Hornets. They're not going to beat the Hornets.
Do the Memphis game too as well.
And the Grizzlies, the Grizzlies are going to be good, I think. So they'll lose Grizzlies.
All right. Road trip, their long West trip.
The LA games.
Yes, the classic LA double. Not a back-to-back for once. That's nice. Sometimes that is brutally scheduled. I think they did well against the Clippers last year, and the Clippers are super old. I think they beat the Clippers, lose to the Lakers. I'll do the whole road trip. They play Portland and Sacramento on that trip as well. Man, the Sacramento game loses a lot of juice this time. I think they beat Clippers, beat Blazers, lose the other two.
I think they lose Clippers, lose Lakers, win Trailblazers, lose Kings, and then I guess the Suns at home, but I think they beat the Suns at home.
Yeah, Suns, Knicks at home is their one stretch between college, and then versus Portland at home is their other one. I think Portland had a very overrated offseason. Put up or shut up time, right? At this point of the season, I have them basically right at 500. Oof. The Adam Friedman timeline's not looking good here. If they're on the Adam Friedman timeline right now, they are like, Pascal Siakam has an ankle injury. TJ McConnell has a pinky issue. Like that's where your record is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think McConnell might have actually not. Do you think he's going to play a ton this next year? I mean, I don't know. I could see him sort of being on a more of a we're trying to stretch out your career kind of game level, right? I mean, that's
honestly, same with Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal's the one I worry about more because he's sort of how long can he keep his peak level play at, right? He's probably still playing at his easy. He's probably near his peak or close to it, and he's playing really great basketball. And how long can he keep playing that really great basketball?
I agree with that.
Right, he might be able to do it. Like he's the kind of player where I wouldn't be surprised if he kept this kind of level for 3 to 4 more years, just because he's kind of built. He's not he's not weirdly built. He seems to not have a lot of weird injuries here or there. He falls to the ground very well. He falls to the ground a lot is the only issue, but he falls he's very good at taking contact, shooting the shot, and then sliding on the ground, which is a good way to not tear things.
Next stretch is Phoenix, New York, Milwaukee, New York, Portland, and the Phoenix, New York games are back-to-back, and the New York, Portland games are back-to-backs with travel after playing the Knicks and coming home. I think their only win in this stretch is against the Suns.
Yeah, I think win Suns, lose Knicks, lose Bucks, lose Knicks again. I think they beat the Trailblazers in the second night of the back-to-back.
All right. They need that. I might need that win.
Portland's bad. Portland's also one of the worst 4 to 5 teams in the league probably next year.
Closing out March with at Spurs, at Magic versus both LA teams. Both times they play the LA teams on a back-to-back and versus Miami. I think they will win the last 4 games of the month.
I think they're going to. I think they lose all but the Heat game.
Oof. They are falling apart in Adam's world.
What's the record I have for them now?
Okay, they've reached the end of March. Time for a mad dash to the playoffs. I say they are 37-38. That's pretty close to what I thought. Yeah, you have them at a paltry 30 wins and 45 losses.
Yeah, that's about where I thought they're going to be.
This is probably the farthest apart we've been in a while.
Usually at the other side, I'm they're going to win 48 games. You say 43. That's why I won a few years because you kept thinking they would win 48 games. They just kept winning 48 games over and over and over.
They did. The last McMillan year when they were 53 win pace if they played 82 games, I was lower. And then the Bjorkgren year, you were a little above me, 4 games above me. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's why April is my key stretch number 3, meaning it's highlighted on the sheet. They don't play that many hard teams. The ones they do play are probably going to be pretty secure about their seeding. That's Cleveland, Minnesota, and Detroit in the last game of the season. I think they can do very well to close the season. Chicago, Charlotte, Brooklyn, Philly, all in their last 7 games. Let's just do the road trip 3 first. I think they beat Chicago and Charlotte and lose to the Cavs. No back-to-backs in there.
I agree with you.
Okay. Ooh, a late surge for Adam's tanking Pacers. Not tanking, just not.
I mean, I think all these teams are going to be in the tanking range. It's going to be a battle, and the Pacers tend to have a roster that tries harder. I think. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be tanking. I think literally they're kind of the team that's going to be at least trying a little bit.
I think they will lose to the Wolves at home, beat Brooklyn and Philly tanktastically on a back-to-back for both of those teams, and then closing the season against the Detroit Pistons at home. That's a tough one. Detroit might be fighting for seeding. And so this is my over 500 or not game. If I give them a loss, I have them at exactly 500. If I give them a win, I have them over 500.
Do you think that gets you in the play-in tournament?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Last year, play-in teams were like 37 wins.
Right. They were really bad last year. I don't know if they're going to be that bad again, but
depends how secure the Pacers are in their seed. Screw it. For the fun of it, I'll give them an over 500 season. But that's mostly just the reason I did that. Honestly, I don't know.
I think the only game they win at that 4 is the Nets.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Okay. Philly might be good. We'll see.
Well, Philly might not be good, but Philly might be good enough to be a play-in team and want to win.
That is true.
Right. They might be like a 37-40 win team that's trying to get.
So they could reasonably close the season from Portland to the end, winning like 8 of their last 12 or something.
I mean, Cleveland
that
could
is
not
what
be
makes
trying
up for their start being hard.
If they're decent, Cleveland might not be trying. Cleveland probably will win 65 games and be so far ahead they might not last.
That is true.
Although they might have learned a lesson about not doing that because they got a little. Cleveland, I don't know. Cleveland shouldn't this should be the year Cleveland kind of craters because they got so badly beat in the playoffs. But I think now they can talk themselves into being like, "Wow, we're going to be fine." There's nobody. All players we lost to they can beat us got hurt, so we're fine.
What was your official guess on your wins before we started?
I thought 32 and 50. And I think I got 33.
Oh. Well, you predicted 33 and 49.
I know. I decided I could feel myself counting towards the end. I decided to do that.
Yeah, you got to 32, but you forgot the in-season tournament. So tough.
Yeah, I will say this. I think in 2027, they will win 50-plus games.
That is very possible.
26, 27. Sorry. Yes, they will win.
So it's really interesting because it's like the same argument as last year where it's like Nembhard, at some point this argument ends, but they're still a young team. Like in theory, Mathurin and Nesmith and Nembhard and Ben Shepherd and Jarris Walker and maybe Isaiah Jackson, like maybe J Huff should all be better next year. And I don't know if any of them get to the point where they're too old to not be a little bit better the year after that, right? Like it's just.
I think it's just going to be a trying year, right? Like the problem is like we have seen when that Haliburton hasn't played, the rest of the roster struggles to figure out how to play without him because he is just he is Steph Curry like in the way the defenses play him, like especially towards the end of the playoffs. If you watch like how defenses played him, right, it was put a guy on him the entire court, right? That's why Nembhard brought the ball up a lot because it was like easier to just pull Haliburton, just pulled guys out and created basically one-on-one for everyone else, and then on top of that, all the other stuff he can do with passing and finding guys in the right moments and really reading things. And so like. Could it work? Could they be better? Yeah, but I wonder if the glue that kind of keeps it together is going to be harder to find because I just don't know where they're getting this great passing from. Some level, maybe Nembhard can fill in. I was going
to say, pretend a big picture of Andrew Nembhard was like slowly ascending onto the screen the whole time you were just.
I mean, I think Nembhard. My biggest thing is it felt like when it really, really got down to it, where he had to be the main point guard in the playoff games. Turn over the ball just slightly too much, like just slightly.
Dude, the Boston 2024 series of his will never ever get out of my head. It just never.
Yeah, I actually gave him a break on that one because I kind of get it. Right,
amazing, man.
He was amazing, but then he did blow it at the end. But he was thrown to the wolves. Like but I said there were a couple Oklahoma City games. I'm thinking game 2, probably game 5, where I think they forced Nembhard to be more the point guard at the very crunch, and he just turned over the ball slightly too much in a way that yeah. So I don't know
handle needed. Yeah.
So I don't know what that will mean. I mean, I think everyone should be a little better, and maybe but if everyone is slightly better than last year, is that still better? Because how many wins above is Haliburton worth, right? Even just himself, he's probably worth 15 wins. I mean, and now I would have made a case if he didn't get hurt, they were going to be a 60-win team this year. Like, I kind of thought that's where they come, right? They lose the finals. They're so motivated. They're so pissed. 60 wins, right? As long as they won it. But like now, I don't know. But they might be a 55, 60-win team the next seasons. I do think they will have that fire and that kind of anger and try to come out and see if they can just like dominate. Because I don't think the East will be that much better in 2 years from now. The West might be a juggernaut, so it'll be hard to win the finals that year. But the East is going to be the same next few years. And they'll probably, honestly, there will be more unexpected injuries, unfortunately. And so who knows what will happen to some of the best players in the East.
That's all very possible. It's all very possible. I think here, I'll tell you two more things and then I'll be done. If they have the season you have described, I actually think they'll finish with fewer than the wins you predicted, because they'll do the thing they did the Jarris Walker draft year where it's like, oh, some injuries going on here. Or like, hey, we got to try a lot of Johnny Furphy late in the season. And I think if they're having the season I'm describing, I think they'll finish with more wins than I'm saying, like closer to 45. Because when you go for it late, you just pick up all these cupcake wins against teams that aren't.
Yeah, you're kind of more talking like the 2016 Paul George got hurt going into the season. They came off a 60-win season or 58-win season. They won 40-something games. They were the 9 seed. They lost the last game of the season and missed the playoffs. Like, that's the kind of season you're thinking, right? This team, like, I guess if you think about it, right, is this a 60-win team with Haliburton? I could have made the case. They are. So if they're swinging at Haliburton, that means they should win 45 games, because he is worth a lot of wins. But like, I think the team,
and Turner's gone.
Yeah, and Turner's gone. But
some number of wins,
definitely. But I think the way the team played in the playoffs, I mean, they played an elite level of defense that I just didn't, frankly, think was possible. From even at times when the lineup was Obi Toppin at the center, they were playing just a level of defense in the most important moments that I just like honestly couldn't believe. And if they can even show that kind of defense even a little bit, like, because Haliburton's the worst defender, right? They show that kind of defense in the regular season, they should be able to win some games, because defense is easier to translate than shooting hot, right? So maybe there's a chance here.
I mean, at like mid-December to the end of the year, right? They had the second or third best record in the league. Like, they were almost a 60-win pace team last year, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, the defense though went from like, I would say like it was probably like the 8th or 10th rated defense during that stretch to like, oh, they're like as good as the Oklahoma State Thunder, who are the best defense in basketball and have been by a mile.
So if you bounce back from that 60-win pace and be like, well, take away 15 for Haliburton and 5 for Turner, that's where you get to 40. And obviously they only won 50 in a third of their season.
He might be a little higher on Turner than I am. I'm not sure he's worth 5 wins, but you know, he is I think there's some replacements there that I can reach the same, a little bit of his production at least.
Wow, it's only been 8 years of us disagreeing. His value.
As a Turner person, I always thought he was really, really good. He had expectations that made no sense outside of after his second or third season. And he was always really good. And you had to just respect that he was a really, really good player. I just think he's been here 10 years. He's hitting 30. Like, you can't expect him to play. The center position is a much more demanding position physically than other positions at times. Like, there's a tail to it eventually. And he's very good, but he was very good also. Haliburton turned him into a player that no other Pacer had been able to do, right? I mean, we played with Paul George. He wasn't he was younger. Like, Haliburton and him had a connection that was really strong and that helped elevate both their games in some ways.
Well, boy, oh boy, do I have news for you. Tyrese Haliburton is still on the Pacers. So that would have been a good news for Miles Turner as he went into his 30s.
Yeah, I mean, that my case was like, we can do the Turner free agency for like 2 minutes, but like my thought for Turner would have been like not this contract, but like if I like right, he's probably thinking I have one more big contract. I was thinking with Turner, well, sign the 3 years for you could probably have got 80 from the Pacers if you really pushed, right? Like if you were taking 3 years, no trade kicker, could you get close to 80? Maybe, right? That's a lot of money per year. And then
but 3 for 80 was like my guess for
I would have guessed that. Get a third-year player option. Have a down year next year because no Haliburton. Come back, play great. You weren't just in the NBA Finals. Maybe you'll back in again. If you have a great playoffs, then either opt out, go get a big deal with someone else, or get a big pay. Like there was a little bit. I understand. Like he took the more security of the extra $26 million in the situation, which will end up probably being a little more. Because I guess he'll be traded someday and get that 15% trade kicker. And I get that. Like, I mean, who am I here to tell a guy not to maximize how much money he can make it, right? But I just think there was like a world where like he didn't really like. The fourth year, he would have maybe gotten eventually.
That is possible. Alas, here they are. So my number because I happened to go for it with the last game is 42. It's really 41. Yours is 33. Big gap. Maybe our biggest ever.
Yeah, I would love to be wrong, right? I
think our answer, that's why I closed with what I said, is about inertia. It's about how their season is going more than how good they actually are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they could be a fun 40-win team. That could that's why I felt worried, because I'm worried it's going to be a bizarre sort of rough start, try to figure it out, and if they don't turn it around at some point, then it's just going to lead to this sort of, let's try to get the sixth best odds and maybe we'll win the lottery, and then we'll have a guy who we can really help things out.
That would change a lot. All right. Let us know, everybody. How off are we? Do you think they'll be worse than Adam does somehow? Do you think they'll be better than I think? I think that's going to be the most common thought. Somewhere close to this range. I think the most common answer I've heard from fans is somewhere between 37 and 44. We'll see where it goes. Fun schedule, some goofy road trips, but no Paris trip. How about that? Nice. Good news for the Pacers.
I actually enjoyed watching that. Was like a 2:00 game on a.
That was nice. 11? Noon game on a weekday. That was fun.
I was like, I remember I was working. I was like, the Pacers are playing. They lost the one I watched. It was noon. There was a Saturday game. It was more fun.
They got thumped and then thumped out there. That was so wild.
Yeah.
Now they have 2 preseason games against the Spurs because they didn't get to have Wemby in town last year. Adam does not tweet or write about the Pacers anymore, so I won't have him say where you can find him, but he'll be here
I'm still a diehard Pacer fan to the
couple months.
Bitter end. I might be worried. I might be sad, but I will go down with this ship at some point in life.
We'll be back here tomorrow talking about either team news or league awards. Who can win awards? I wanted to do that show last week, and then I was exhausted and did something different. So thank you all so much for listening today. Back tomorrow talking more Pacers. Till then, everybody, have a wonderful day.